Without further ado, let me start with our first distinguished speaker, who is Mrs. Irina Bokova, the Director General of UNESCO. Irina Bokova, the Director General of UNESCO, has been the Director General of the UNESCO since 15th of November 2009 and was successfully re-elected for a second term in 2013. She is the first lady and first Eastern European to lead this organization. As the Director General of UNESCO, Irina Bokova has actively engaged in international efforts to advance gender equality, quality education for all, and combat terrorist financing by preventing illicit traffic of cultural goods. She is a leading champion in the fight against racism and anti-Semitism. Bokova has spearheaded the UNESCO's activities on Holocaust remembrance and awareness, and is the first Director General of UNESCO to appoint a special envoy for Holocaust education. Irina Bokova was a Minister of Foreign Affairs, coordinator of Bulgarian-European Union relations, and ambassador of Bulgaria to France, Monaco, and UNESCO. She's had a illustrious career, indeed, and I'm sure she will continue to have a very big impression on the world. She has graduated from Moscow State Institute of International Relations and studied at University of Maryland, Washington, and John F. Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University, OIF. Irina Bokova has received state distinctions from countries across the world, and she's a doctor honoris causa of leading universities. It gives me pleasure to welcome you, Irina Bokova, Your Excellency, for us to hear your visionary talking. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and thank you for this very kind presentation. Dear Ambassador Kairat Abdurrahmanov, Permanent Representative of Kazakhstan to UNESCO, dear parliamentarians, dear guests, I'm very happy to be here among you because I do believe that the role of parliamentarians in countering violent extremism is extremely important. I would like, of course, to commend the Permanent Mission of Italy and the Interparliamentary Coalition for Global Ethics for this initiative. Having been a parliamentarian myself, I am deeply aware of the importance of parliaments as institutions selected by the people, that represent the people and that serve the people. Parliaments play a critical role to address the challenges of our times, but not everything can be solved at the level of governments or the United Nations agencies alone. We need solutions that are shaped by an informed democratic debate and are decided upon by general elections. Parliamentarians have the unique power to bring these solutions, as well as international organizations, closer to the people. And this, I believe, is the key to success. We see crimes against humanity perpetrated in the name of extreme ideologies. We see minorities persecuted, journalists silenced, killed. We see cultural heritage that belongs to all of us destroyed and looted. We see cultural cleansing. We see a rising humanitarian and refugee crisis. And I believe violent extremism is this red thread tying this picture together. There is no single cause for its rise, but one thing is clear. This battle cannot be won with hard power alone. We need soft power also. We need to win the battle of ideas through education, through democratic debate, through a better understanding of the history of each other's cultures and religions. This is what parliamentarian debate is all about, and this is also the spirit of the latest landmark resolution adopted by the Interparliamentary Union in March 2016 on the protection of tangible and intangible cultural heritage of humanity. This starts on the benches of schools, and this is my first key message. Countering violent extremism starts with peace education, with textbooks and curricula that teach human rights. This starts also with critical thinking, with the teaching of history and religions, to help people respond to the propaganda of hatred. UNESCO is mapping approaches to human rights education across the world, with a view to sharing best practices. Framed by the 1974 UNESCO recommendation concerning education for international understanding, cooperation and peace, UNESCO is working to make learning more inclusive. In January 2012, UNESCO joined the United States and Brazil in launching the global Teaching Respect for All initiative to tackle the rise of intolerance and violence. UNESCO contributes to the Counter-Terrorism Implementation Task Force, and this contribution is underlined in the Global Counter-Terrorist Strategy. This builds also on UNESCO's long-standing work to develop guidelines for educators in human rights and intercultural dialogue. In 2006, guidelines on intercultural education. In 2011, guidelines for educators on countering intolerance and discrimination against Muslims with the Council of Europe, an organization for security and cooperation in Europe. In 2016, Teacher's Guide on the Prevention of Violent Extremism. UNESCO published Why Teach About the Holocaust to support educators in teaching the history of genocides and mass murders, because understanding the past can prevent discrimination today. In Iraq, UNESCO is working with the Educate the Child initiative and the government to reach 180,000 out-of-school children. In Afghanistan, UNESCO has reached 600,000 people with literacy skills, 60% of whom are women. And I just met a village, the women from a village, when I visited Afghanistan again at the end of May, and I saw for myself what literacy and how literacy can change life of women and also of whole families. In Jordan, with EU backing, UNESCO is supporting education quality and promoting skills for young Syrian refugees. In all of this, the role of Parliament is critical to frame the national debate, to adopt strong measures, to encourage policies of government, to reach out to the civil society and the private sector, to the academia, because I think parliaments are this link, this cement of every democratic society. And parliaments should strengthen these efforts to increase budgets, to adopt policies. I would say to strengthen the world team for peace. And I'm convinced we can strengthen this team and the number of voices speaking for peace if we bring back to education the 57 million children out of school today. So in this spirit that we must distribute, invigorate all these ideas about peace, mutual respect and tolerance, and I believe it starts also on the parliamentarian benches as much as on the benches of schools. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Irina. Thank you very much, Irina Bokova, for this very enlightening talk.